Yes. What's happening, everybody? It is Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time. We've got a UFC card coming up at the crack of dawn on Saturday morning from Singapore, which is going to be headlined by the Korean Zombie versus Max Holloway. So whenever we got a UFC card coming up on Saturday, you know what that means at Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time. It means it's time for Just the Tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy, and we're going to break down all 13 fights on this UFC Singapore card. It is a cracker of a card, you guys. We've got a fight between Taila Santos and Erin Blanchfield, which isn't even a main event or a co-main event on this card. And I mean, this is one of the highest level female fights that we're going to see all year. So we've got a good card here from top to bottom. 13 fights, some interesting prospects, a lot of local flavor from that area of the world there in the Far East. And we've always loved the cards where we stack cash tickets like flapjacks, where we win more money than we lose, because, you know, we're here every week. We're always trying to make money, but the best cards are the ones that we make money on. So let's put in the work. Let's figure out how we can stack cash tickets like flapjacks on this event by looking at the stats, looking at the tape study notes, looking at everything that we have available so that we can make some good betting decisions this week and get some underpriced lines. As of last week, not a good week for me from a gambling perspective. Let me get my Bet MMA tips up here. So I was down 2.25 units. My 1 unit bet on a money line was Marina Moroz at plus 150. That one didn't cash. I had the under 3.5 rounds in Zhang versus Lemos at plus 100 for 1 unit. That did not cash. I mean, it should have probably about 20 different times, but that fight just wouldn't end. I took a shot at a big plus money number, plus 250 for fight doesn't go to decision for Munoz Vera. Wound up in practice being a horrible bet. I wanted to bet the over, but it was juiced to the tits. I was hoping I would get it around minus 150. I think it opened at minus 275, so it wasn't really bettable there. And from there, it just ran to minus 350. So, yeah, I took a shot at the plus 250. Fight doesn't go. Figure maybe that durability of Munoz might be fading. Maybe that chin of his might be ready to be cracked, but not even close. Both of those guys are two of the most durable bantamweights on the planet, so I shouldn't have expected it to finish. Took a half unit shot on Lemos to win in round 1, 2, or 3 at plus 500. That didn't work out, not even close. We got the under 2.5 rounds in Blackshear versus Batista. Both of those guys are good finishers. Blackshear's never been finished before, but Batista has been finished in both of his professional losses. And I thought because Blackshear had made 2 cuts in 1 week that we could count on him to maybe slow down a little bit in the fight, or maybe just be a shell of himself in there because of the 2 weight cuts. Nothing of the sort happened. Wasn't even close. And that fight easily went all the way to decision. And then Moroz to win in round 3 at plus 1,900, took a small shot at that. And then Sean O'Malley to win by decision, took a small shot at that for a quarter unit. The bets that cashed under 2.5 rounds in Moroz versus Silva at plus 110 for 1 unit. The over 1.5 rounds in the Gary versus Magny fight at minus 175 for 1 unit, that cashed. And then we had the finish-only prop for Kurt Holloway. The scorecards equals no action. 1 unit plus 108, that cashes. Down 2.25 units. I was up 0.3 units the week before. Forgot to track a bet. But definitely on a little bit of a slide here. So definitely got to dig out of this hole that I've created 2 out of the last 3 weeks. Start doing it this week at UFC Singapore. So I'm fired up to break down these fights with you guys. We'll go through all 13 of these fights. I will give you the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. I will give you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week to find out which one of these guys is going to lose in brutal fashion and which one of these winners is going to cash a nice inside the distance prop for you potentially, or even if they don't, somebody that you can just lay some money on that money line and be real confident that they're going to be the better fighter on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you guys. We've got 28 of you already here live with me in the chat. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe. Feel free to leave me a comment down below. Always love talking to you guys here on YouTube where you leave me some comments. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have in the comments, questions about the stats, anything, questions about the fights. And I appreciate all of you guys because I just hit a little bit of a milestone last week. 2,500 subscribers to the channel. It's pretty mind-blowing because I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And to see the channel grow that much in 2 years and to have the kind of support that you guys show me, it's really humbling. It means a lot. I've got 60 people on my Patreon. We've got over 4,000 people watching me and Brady every week do Stat Diggers, over 1,000 people watching the DFS show on Pub Sports Radio. So I just like to take this moment to acknowledge and appreciate all the love that you guys show here by subscribing to the channel, by big upping that thumbs up button, by leaving me comments, and by joining the Patreon. All of you make it possible for me to be able to show up and do this and give you this analysis every single week. So that means a lot, you guys. Let's see what's going on with you guys in the chat right now. We have got my guy Victor De Jesus first in the room saying, "Oh, yes, what's up, Weezy in chat?" Always good to see my guy Victor hanging out in here. Nathan Robinson in the room saying, "Oi!" And we've got Snerius in the room saying, "Oh!" We got Jay Breezy. "Oi, what is happening?" M.A. Liren saying, "Oi, weird card for betting. Too little, too wide, maybe. Guide us to the path of value, thou wheeziest of uncles." I don't have a lot of bets yet, but the thing is, I put in so much work to get ready for just the tip. Let me show you guys something here. These are my notes for the show. So, while I'm doing the show, this is what I'm looking at, and this is 18 pages of notes on 13 fights. So even though I'll usually, while I'm researching these fights, I'll wind up, having some leans and making some bets early in the week. It's really not until I've done the show on Tuesday night where I have all my notes. I have all my tape study notes. I've got who's got the advantages. I know the numbers, and I know what bets I'm starting to look at. So even though I don't have much so far this week, I feel the week goes on, and after the show tonight, I'll probably be adding some more bets. But I've already got a couple so far. And I'm going to be adding to them. So yeah, this is what I do. I do a lot of preparation for this show every week so that I can give you guys a good show, and then I could give you a researched opinion of what's going to happen in every single fight, and know that I've watched tape, and know that I've looked at the stats and the trends, and I've looked at the implied probabilities of the lines, and I've looked at, who's the better minute winner, who's the better moment winner, what these guys' records are to the decision, to the submission, to the knockout. Look at all those avenues so that we can find those bets. The Kurt Holloway scorecards equals no action at plus money last week. That was a great bet. Holloway was 7-0 or 8-1 to the submission in his career, and Austin Hubbard was 2-2. So there was a lot of value in that submission prop. So yeah, let's look at these numbers. Let's keep doing exactly what we're doing here. And here, let's go back to the main screen. We got a ring-a-ding-ding. My guy, Professor Chaos, with the $2 donation saying, "Na Liang fight week." And that's another reason why this card is awesome. Na Liang is going to be on it. And she's never been in a boring fight in her entire career. She's like a really experienced, male high school lover being with his girlfriend for the first time. He's going to give her maybe 20, 30 seconds of hell, and then it's going to be over. But that's what Na Liang gives you. It's that premature ejaculation of all of her energy, all of her submission attempts, all of her strikes that come with 100% power. And then once the ejaculation and climax is over, usually about 2.5 minutes into the fight, the opponent will then take over and finish her. But she's always got a chance early in the fight. She's got that young high school level enthusiasm. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. And Na Liang, what could be better than that? But we got to wake up at like 4 a.m. to make sure that we don't miss Na Liang fight week. So Professor Chaos, thank you so much for the donation, brother. Appreciate you. Jester saying, sipping on the classic Blue Moon with orange slice. You sipping on anything? Oh, I am not. I have water here. My girlfriend tested positive for COVID yesterday. She was just in France for a couple of weeks. Probably got it on the plane on the way home. So trying not to drink, trying to stay a little bit healthy here, and kind of like hitting the system with a lot of water, and going to stay away from the beer until like she's in better shape here. And until it looks like I'm going to be not catching it either. So we'll see how all that goes, man. So it's just water for me tonight, Chester. We got Immaculaton in the room saying, let's go. Just bought a house. Gonna put it on a max finish and hope it's not the same ref as Lemos versus Zhang. Yeah, dude, I had that under 3.5. I would have been about even on the week had that fight finished under 3.5 rounds. But hey, that's the sport we bet on. It doesn't always work out the way that I think it's going to work out. Man, Zhang absolutely beat 7 shades of shit out of Amanda Lemos on Saturday. That was hard to watch. But, I mean, good on Lemos for never giving up. It was a championship fight. All it would have taken was one mistake where she could have caught Zhang slipping, caught her in a submission, landed one big shot. So she stayed in that fight. She did her best to bring hell, but my God, Zhang was just up to the task and looked absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, man, good luck on the house you just bought still being yours after Saturday with a max finish, Immaculaton. Professor Chaos saying Liang plus Brzeski parlay seems safe. That does not seem safe at all. It seems the opposite of safe, as a matter of fact. That would be like a 20-1 parlay. So we'll see, man. You never know, Professor Chaos. Those guys are a couple of long shots. Jester saying Zombie should have retired after Volk. I would imagine gloves come off after this fight. Yeah, he's like, what, 36 now? And he's got his own gym, and he's got a lot of students training underneath him. So maybe he doesn't have to fight anymore in order to make the kind of money he needs to make in order to keep his lifestyle up. And plus, it's not like Zombie's been an active fighter at all anyway. He's on like over a year layoff here since the Volk fight. He fights about once a year these days. So yeah, there's definitely possibility that he does take those gloves off. We got Kristen in the room saying, oi, pleasure to be here with you and the gang, Weezy. Always good to see you in here, Kristen. Let's enjoy the show. And we've got Kevin saying, oi, Uncle Weez, you waking up to watch this one? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Either that or I'm going to get a pile of amphetamines and stay up all night. But either way, I am not missing the Na Liang fight. I will be there live if it means I got to go to bed early on Friday or if it means I got to stay up all night. One way or another, I'm going to make it happen, Kevin. My guy Lou Betcha in the room saying, Weezy, as a veteran of the drinking game, what do you recommend for this young whippersnappers here? Get a good night's sleep Friday night to get up early or drink all night to get geared up for Jarno errands? Okay, so if you're young, all right, if you're not my age or Lou's age, who's younger than me, I'm older than Lou, what you want to do is you want to stay up all night. You don't want to be a goddamn pussy, do you? You want to stay up all night. You want to get a bunch of amphetamines or a bunch of alcohol or some meth or whatever it is, whatever it takes, you guys. You're young. You're going to have a hangover for one day and you'll be back to 100% the next day. Do like I did in college. Treat your body as if it's going to be there for 150 years and that you could never hurt it because you're young and you won't feel the after effects like you do when you're my age. So I would tell them to sack up, to stay up all night and cruise all the way through all 13 of these fights because the card's just going to get better as it goes on. So you won't need as many amphetamines to stay up at like 2, 3 in the afternoon when this thing is finishing up. So that's the way I would go, Lou. And something tells me that you feel the same way about that one, man. My guy Bob Spikerman's in the room saying, what's up, boss? Let's go now, Liang. Let's get it now. We got my guy, the Jewish better, in the room saying maximum chaos. What's happening, dude? Always good to see you in here, brother. We got Lone Wolf DFS is in the room. What's up, dude? Good to see you hanging out. Lou Betya saying, what's up to the Jewish better? Lone Wolf saying, what's up, Weezy? My guy Daz File saying, let's go. We got Sean V in the room saying, us West Coast. Oh, my God, West Coast. Jesus, so what time does that start for you, Sean? Like, because I think for me it's like 4, but if you're on the West Coast, it'll be like 2 a.m. So actually, you'll probably stay up and catch the first half of the fights, but there's no way you're waking up at 2 if you're like a normal individual who goes to bed at like 11 or midnight. So yeah, man, that's going to be hard for the West Coast folks. They're going to have to make a decision, either stay up all night or like catch like a 3-hour nap and then try to make it through this thing. And we got Sean saying, what's up to Lou? Lou saying, I'm up for 7:30 a.m. soccer anyway, so this is nothing for me. Yeah, there you go. Nice. We got Daniel saying, yo, what's up, Weezy? What's up, Daniel? Good to see you hanging out in here. Jester saying, I wonder if one championship gives hell the venues. about hosting a UFC card in Singapore. I wonder. You never know, man. You never know. They are competitors. Sean saying, Lou, yeah, I'm going to stay up all night Friday for this 2 a.m. start, then just sleep after the main finishes. That's not a bad idea. Hey, if you don't have to go to work on Saturday, then just get your sleep at a usual time that's after the card is over. We got Lou Betcha saying that's the way to do it. I knew he would agree with me. Daniel Covert, just subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you for that, brother. That means a lot, man. Love all these 2,500 subscribers that I've got already. We got Lou Betcha saying, congrats, Weezy. Thank you, man. Lone Wolf saying, congrats. Appreciate you, man. Remdog saying, what's up, Uncle Weezy? I don't know much about this card, so I'm looking forward to some good insights. Oh, yes. I got them all ready for you guys. I got all the notes. We got Daniel saying, congrats on 2K. Jester saying 2.5K. Appreciate you. Let's get that 3K. Let's get it, man. We got Daniel saying, oi. We got crazy notes. Yeah, I take a lot of notes, man. I mean, I got to be prepared. A bunch of people watch the show. I don't want to just be talking off the top of my head, making guesses as I'm talking about fights that I haven't researched at all and I haven't watched any tape on. What would be the point of coming here and listening to me if I wasn't doing my research? So, Lone Wolf saying, honestly, Weezy, you have a kick-ass personality, always cracking me up, dude. I appreciate that, man. It's just as much about entertainment as it is about the information. We got Daniel saying, I think you'll get more subscribers now that you turn your mic around. Hopefully that helps, man. I can't believe I had it the right way for a long time, but like sometimes I don't know. I mean, like shit gets moved around, and like I take it with me when I travel. So I mean, I must have just not figured out that it wasn't sounding good. I mean, you would never know. Like I could sit here and do an entire show if it wasn't live and maybe not forget to turn the sound on. So like you would never hear anything. And then you go back to edit it and you're like, oh, God damn it, I got to do this all over again. I was muted. It could happen. So, yeah, these kind of things happen on live streams. And I can't believe mine was turned around for so long. Ain't nothing but love, Weezy, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, Bob. We got Kevin saying graphic fight breakdown. Now Liang about to bust a fat ass nut. Dude, you know she is, JB. Come on, man. I mean, everybody who's seen Na Liang fight, it's one of the best things that you can do with your time. If you have some free time, if you're a member of the Tape Index or any of the tape indexes that are available out there, go and watch Na Liang tape. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, every fight is like a fucking tornado. And yeah, sometimes she loses, sometimes she wins, but she's got a pretty good record. So she's got like 19 professional wins. There's not a lot of people that can stand up to that kind of pressure for very long. So it's going to be an interesting fight as long as it lasts. Brady going to be mad to hear you use premature ejaculation and Na Liang in the same sentence. Yeah, it's too bad, man. Brady's in Nashville. He is away from home right now. He's got other things on his mind to worry about whether or not his Uncle Weezy is trying to make a play for his girl. Because guess what? He's a married man. He can't say shit if I try to get Na Liang for myself anyway. I mean, because what would his wife say? So I've always got that going for me. So you never know, Lou. You never know how life might work out. And we got Jewish Better saying, what's up to Lou? We got Antonio Esparza saying, yo, Unc, that robe looking fresh tonight. Thank you so much. My grandfather's smoking jacket that he bought at Marshall Fields in the 50s. Still looking good. A taste of old American style, my friend. We got Billy Nicholson saying, oi, Holloway versus Zombie is this week, but Spivak versus Gon is next week, and the Vampire is going to feed. And I hope you're right, Billy, because I got 2 units on that Vampire at plus 165. Kind of figure as long as Gon doesn't wear like a garlic necklace into the cage, that he's going to get his ass shaved. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. And if Spivak gets that win, man, I'm gonna be up some units. We got Gogo saying, yo, Uncle Weezy, how'd you go at 292? Bad, my friend. I gave the breakdown earlier. Down 2.25 units. Could have been even if that, or like down a quarter unit if that if that Zhang Lemos fight had finished, but my God, what a performance by Zhang. It's just, she couldn't quite get that finish. But yeah, it was not my best event, but we're looking to turn it around this week. Daniel Colbert saying Gane is washed. You know, it was pretty alarming when when Cyril Gane's coach said that this guy doesn't train when he's not fighting. And then he had to like go and backtrack. He's like, wow, I didn't mean that he doesn't train, but you got the idea that maybe Gane's a little bit of a lazy ass, that he doesn't really train, that he's just a natural, gifted athlete who looks spectacular when he fights somebody that couldn't wrestle their way out of a paper bag. But anybody that's been able to wrestle their way out of a paper bag, they've actually beaten this dude. And even a guy like Ngannou, who is not known for his wrestling chops. I mean, he's got a judo background, but he's not a wrestler. He won rounds easily off of Cyril Gane with his wrestling. So, I mean, if he can do that, Spivak can throw him around and finish him. So I'm really looking forward to the vampire feeding. We got fucking Reckless Aljo. Yeah, I didn't bet Aljo, but I picked him to win. And I really thought that he was going to pressure right off the bat, but intelligent pressure that it was going to get into the grappling exchanges where he could then try to get the takedowns and try to get to Sean's back. But I mean, if I had bet on Aljo, I would have lost my shit watching the way that he chose to approach that fight. I mean, that was one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. It was piss poor. He fought Sean's fight as if somebody paid him to. So, I mean, but all credit to Sean O'Malley. Fantastic performance. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He shocked the world against Jan, and he had a great performance against Aljamain Sterling, landed that beautiful right hand, and then worked the ground and pound. Some people say early finish, some people not. I could go either way with that one, but either way, Sean was the better man on Saturday, and all credit to him. Early stoppage main event? No, I don't think so, man. I mean, it was close. It was definitely close, but I think you could argue that it was early, and you could argue that it was good. I mean, it's one of those decisions that I'm not going to get mad about either way. Zombie's going to win 100%. Well, then put the house on it, Daniel, because he's plus 550 right now to Max Holloway. Yeah, do a bunch of meth. Yeah, that's always usually the best answer, is just to do a bunch of meth, because it's a performance enhancer. We got good advice, says Lone Wolf. Go saying, I'm in Thailand at the moment, so I don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. Sunday. That's awesome, dude. Enjoy the fights at a usual time while you're in Thailand, my man. JJ saying, oi, no tickle, no laundry, no tickle. Quiet you. We got Daniel Culbertson. Oh my God, he said my name. So cool. Nick Dillard, ring a ding ding. Appreciate you for the $5 donation, brother. Saying, oi, always good vibes, brother. Thank you for everything you do for us, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hitting that thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for leaving me a comment. And most of all, thank you for the donation, Nick Dillard. It means a lot, man, and it helps me keep the lights on here in this studio. We got Go saying, we come half for the picks and half for the silky voice delivered from a bathrobe. The Hugh Hefner of YouTube. That's a huge compliment, brother. I appreciate you. Big ups, man. We got Daz Files. What is up, dude? We got Daniel saying, Gane turned down Khabib. He ain't serious. We got Backstabber saying, what's up, Weezy? Last week I played Gary Moneyline with the over 5.5 minutes at minus 190. Love the price and looking to do the same with Rinya this week. Yeah, Rinya's a stud, dude. Hopefully that one works out for you as well, man. Aljo fought so dumb. I couldn't agree more, man. I believe next week will be an early start time as well, thanks to Perry. Yeah, probably will, dude. We got Kevin saying, which is nice. Hey, I like the early Saturday cards. That way I can do stuff on Saturday night, you know. Daniel Colbert saying, look it up, Kevin. We got Daz File saying, Aljo face planted. You do that when you out cold. Nothing wrong with the stoppage. Yeah, I didn't hate the stoppage. You know, I mean, like Sean was working and he absolutely dropped Aljo. So we got Nathan Robinson saying, surprised to see the women's flyweight champ Taila Santos so low on the card. Me too. I don't know. Aljo was about to get a takedown when they stopped it. Rigged. Well, if it was rigged, the company man that the UFC would put in the octagon is Mark Goddard to do that. And that was the guy that was in there. So do with that information what you will. My guy Matt A said, subbed and liked. We'll be getting your Patreon soon. Love the content. Truly appreciate that, Matt. The Patreon is how I really am able to support myself and put as much work into this as I do. So I truly appreciate everybody, all 60 of you that are on my Patreon so much, and it helps me be able to do this full time. All right, you guys, let's get to work. We've got 13 fights to break down. Let me share my screen with you. We're going to start with Seungwoo Choi versus Jarno Errens. And we've got Seungwoo Choi 155 favorite right now. Jarno Errens plus 135. The fight doesn't go to decision. Sitting at minus 140 for this fight. So first, let's start talking about the advantages of Seungwoo Choi. He's the bigger featherweight. He's 1 inch taller, and he's got a 1 inch reach advantage over Errens. And Choi has the high-level experience advantage over Jarno. He's got 7 more fights at the UFC level and over 70 more minutes of octagon time. And Choi is a very good Muay Thai striker. His UFC striking metrics at distance are solid. He's got a positive 0.12 distance striking differential, but he's landed 4 knockdowns in 8 UFC fights, and he's finished 6 of his 10 pro wins by way of knockout. Choi's distance accuracy and defense are both well below average, but he stays busy attempting 13.18 distance strikes per minute, 5.04 more per minute than what his opponents throw. So as long as Choi is on the feet is when he tends to do his best work at distance striking range. But look at these. Neither one of these guys could hit water if they fell out of a boat. 32% accuracy for Errens and 30% accuracy for Seungwoo Choi. And in this particular matchup, I actually think Choi will be more likely to be the minute winner in the grappling exchanges. Errens has subpar takedown defense and is way too comfortable playing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu off his back and unsuccessfully hunting for subs. Choi has actually been somewhat efficient in the grappling exchanges, winning 37% of the control time positions his fights have been in, despite attempting only 21% of the takedowns in his fights. Errens in his only UFC fight was taken down in all 3 rounds and controlled for at least 2 minutes in every round. So if Choi decides to mix in the grappling, he probably will be successful here. And Choi obviously has the strength of schedule advantage here, as he has 7 more UFC fights than Errens, and he's faced an above average level of competition at the UFC level, as his 8 opponents have a combined UFC record of 43 wins and 30 losses. So he's faced some really good guys, has Choi. Now, Jarno is going to be 2 years younger than Choi in this fight, and he's got actually 2 more pro fights and 35 more minutes of pro cage time. So even though Choi has more high-level experience than Jarno, it's not as if Jarno isn't an experienced fighter in his own right, and he actually has more professional fights and more minutes in the cage than Seungwoo Choi. Just a lot more regional scene experience. And Jarno's a well-rounded fighter. He's a brown belt in judo. He's got a Dutch kickboxing background, and his conditioning is on point. He has 5 wins by submission. He's got 5 wins by decision, and he's got 3 by knockout. So he uses that well-rounded skill set to find multiple paths of victory, try to find the opponent's weak spot and exploit it. But in summary, I do like Choi here. He's a little bit better in all areas. Errens is a solid fighter who's not great anywhere, but he's not bad anywhere either. But Choi has more high-level experience. He's the more dangerous striker. He's faced higher level grapplers, and his strength of schedule is better than Errens. So outside of Choi making big mistakes here, I'm thinking Choi gets this win kind of however he wants. He's the better striker, and the grappling is probably even. And Errens has good judo, so being in the clinch with him probably isn't the best idea. But as long as Choi is the one who decides where this fight takes place, I think he's going to get the win. And I think he's going to get it by decision, you guys. So let me go to the Tapology page here. And let's see. We got the Fight Center. We've got UFC Fight Night. And where can I make the picks? Damn it. It's always tricky to figure out how the hell to make the picks here, because it's got the Contender Series shit up here, which I don't need. My picks. By promotion. Upcoming. Damn it. Sorry about this, you guys. This is a pain in the ass. Let me try this. Enter prediction here. There we can. All right. There it is. All right. And we're going to do Seungwoo Choi here by decision. Jarno Errens is a pretty durable guy. We can see that he has been finished by submission once, but he's never been knocked out. So I kind of feel like this one does go to decision. And Seungwoo Choi by decision. Oh, come on. Log out. What the fuck? All right. Let's see what Seungwoo Choi by decision is on Bet Online, the only site that has any props out at this point. So, let's do this. UFC Singapore. Choi by points is plus 250. I mean, I think that's a pretty decent look. Choi definitely has power. He could definitely get a knockout. And Errens, you know, he's never been knocked out, but that doesn't mean he won't be if somebody like a skilled striker like Choi does hit him hard. But that is the pick here. I'm going with Choi by points. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Let's see. Minus 800 for Rinya seems insane to me. Been out the first once. I can't trust that. I tend to agree with you, man. Daniel Covert saying Mark Goddard is Irish. Is he? I don't know if he's Irish or English. I'm not sure. We got Daniel Covert saying, damn, man, you got the best information. Appreciate you, dude. Mushroom is in the room. What's up, Mushroom? He's saying, what's up to Daz Files? Immaculaton saying, Covert, it wasn't early. To me, for a second during the GP and got hit and woken up. I lost $300 on that, so I don't think I was biased. Yeah, there you go, man. Covert saying, I'm doing an all-Asian parlay called the Singaparlay. Singaporelay. I like it. Singaporelay. Let's get it. The Singaporelay this week. I've got one in mind myself. Choi, third-round decision, says Mushroom. I agree with that. Daniel saying, I don't know. I thought it was a value established, but that's simply my opinion. Yeah, it's opinions at the end of the day. My guy Eli is in the room saying, sure, all. What's up, Eli? Good to see you hanging out in here. Daniel says, Choi all day. Mushroom saying, what's up to Eli? We got Jake C says, Max isn't a finisher, but I wonder if he'll respect Zombie late and not push it. He might, you know, I mean, like Max has finished, I think, more than half of his UFC wins, but it's just that he's so durable. He doesn't have that one punch power, but when he's the better striker, it's the attrition that usually winds up getting those knockouts for him. Zombie will knock out Max. You heard it here. We'll see about that, man. Mushroom MMA was saying what's up to Eli. Daz, let's see. MMA Jesus in the room. Aldrich all day equals all rich. Nah equals nah, says Mushroom MMA. And we got Daniel saying zombie rhymes with money. Lock it in. Let's go. All right, you guys. Let's get to this next fight, which is going to be Liang plus 410 going up against JJ Aldrich, the favorite at minus 575. Fight doesn't go to decision at minus 210 for this fight. So let's first start talking about one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, Liang Na. Liang is almost 4 years younger than JJ Aldrich here, so that's a little bit of an advantage for her here. Liang fights like her hair is on fire, like she's late for work while her car is double parked. She finishes fights, you guys. In her 25 professional fights, only one of those fights has went to decision. She's finished all 19 of her pro wins, 10 of them by submission and 9 by. And she's also been finished in 5 of her 6 losses. Na brings a storm early in fights and starts to fade about 3 minutes into the fight. But wherever the fight takes place, Na is super aggressive. She throws with a ton of power on the feet, and she's constantly hunting for subs when the fight goes to the ground. Her pace is unsustainable, but weathering the early storm against Na is not easy. But if you can do that, you'll be safe in the second and third rounds when she's gassed. Now, JJ Aldrich, she's got the experience advantage here. Even though she has 8 less pro fights than Na, She has 110 more minutes in the pro cage in almost 2 more years as a pro fighter. In addition, she has the high level experience advantage with 10 more fights at the UFC level and almost 160 more minutes in the octagon. While JJ is not a finisher, and while she couldn't finish a glass of water, what she is good at is winning minutes, which is something Liang has no clue how to do. JJ is 9 wins and 3 losses to the decision in her career, while Liang is 0 wins and 1 loss to the decision. So obviously, if JJ can weather the early storm and tire Liang out, winning the last 2 rounds against a gassed opponent with no minute winning capabilities should be easy for her. JJ is definitely the better boxer. She's more comfortable on the feet at distance striking range. She's way more defensively responsible than Liang, 64% defense for JJ at defense, that distance striking range that we can see here. While for now Liang, it's only 40% at distance striking range. So now blocks punches with her face. Liang's metrics are amassed over only 2.28 minutes at range, while JJ's are over 125 minutes. So we know a lot more about JJ's striking than we do Liang's, but it's safe to say that JJ will be the better minute winner at range, especially late in this fight. And JJ's shown 71% takedown defense in the UFC and has been controlled for only 8.51% of her UFC cage time by her opponents. So it's going to be tough for Liang to find the takedowns and the control time she needs to be effective, as JJ's fights have taken place at distance striking range over 75% of the time, and she's winning 65% of her control time positions. And JJ has faced the superior UFC strength schedule by quite a bit. So this is going to be a wild fight as long as it lasts. Now we'll go ballistic from the opening bell, and all JJ has to do is win the first, or is last the first 5 minutes. After that, it's her fight. But weathering the storm against Na won't be easy. JJ has been finished in 3 of her 6 pro losses, and that's the only way Na wins. So the first round prop on Na should be the best way to play her. And if you want to get JJ's money line at a good price, consider playing her with 30 seconds left in the first round. That's when Na is going to have her best chance to win. And you want to get there before the end of the first round, because everybody's going to be live betting JJ Aldrich, especially if Na won the first, between the first and the second rounds, because everybody knows that now Liang, like I say, with that high school lover cardio, that 20 seconds at best before there's just cum all over the place. That's the way that Na fights. That's the best metaphor that I can give you guys. So, once Na busts, it's over. So I'm kind of figuring that, you either want to play Na round 1, or you want to try to get JJ just as Na's gas tank is starting to empty. And if it looks like she's going to weather that storm, that's when you get on the live entry. That way you're not paying minus 600 for a money line. Maybe you get something closer to minus 150. But either way, that's the way that I would play this. I'm going to pick JJ Aldrich to win this fight by second round knockout after Na is exhausted. But I also do think, now, usually the round props on Bet Online are very, very thin. Now Liang in round 1 is plus 1,000. That's not the worst, because she's plus 410. So plus 1,000 for Na Liang in round 1. That's probably worth a quarter unit bet to try to win 2.5 units. That's the way that she wins fights. The average fight time for Na Liang in her career is 3.85 minutes, and in the UFC it's been 3.92. So the average fight ends right around the 4-minute mark of the first round. So that'd be the best way to play Na. Plus 1,000. That's a lot better than plus 410, because she barely even made it to the stool after the first round of the Ariane Carnelossi fight. So unless she's actually been working on that conditioning, I don't think we're going to see any different of a story time around. So yeah, JJ Aldrich, second round knockout is the pick. And I do have a bet on this fight, the under 2.5 rounds. It's not available there anymore, but got it at plus, what was it? Plus minus 105. Minus 105 for the under 2.5 rounds. got really lucky. Oh my God, DFS by the numbers for an early morning call alerting me to that line while I was sleeping. So he got me out of bed. I made the bet. I tracked the bet. I looked at everything else, and then I said, all right, I'm going back to bed now. But yeah, that's my bet that I have on this fight, the under 2.5 rounds, and the pick is Aldrich to win by second round knockout. All right. And like Immaculate Tan is saying, I'm taking Na Liang first round finish. With that comes out, JJ Aldrich has made a silly putty. Yeah, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. She's been finished before. So why not take the finisher to finish the way she finishes fights? And instead of paying plus 400 for the money line, knowing that there's very, very little likelihood that she's going to have anything left in the tank after round one, you might as well just take her by her best win condition and get her at plus 1,000. 1 to 3 minutes of gas, says Mushroom, and he's correct about that. JJ, just okay. Yeah, I agree with that. She's a pretty good fighter, MMA Jesus. She's got decent striking, decent conditioning, decent durability, solid takedown defense, but she doesn't really put a stamp on fights. So, yeah, you don't really lay minus 550, minus 600 on a fighter of that archetype. So, yeah, that's the way I'm playing it. Daniel Covert saying, I got to go to sleep, work early, but I'll finish watching tomorrow. See you, bros. Thanks for out, Daniel. Appreciate you, brother. We got Jake C saying minus 210 not to go to decision in an Aldrich fight is scary. Yeah, but it's not scary when it's a Na Liang fight. Let me show you the prop template, my friend. Because, yeah, JJ Aldrich is one of the fighters in this fight. But the other fighter is Na Liang. And Na Liang, if you look at that number I have highlighted there, 21 of her 22 professional fights have ended under 2.5 rounds. And that's outside the UFC. Inside the UFC, it's 2 of 2. So 23 of 24 fights have not went over the 12.5-minute mark. So because Na Liang is a part of this fight, you have to figure that she has more of an effect on the time prop than JJ Aldrich does. I believe we had a really good, situation like this last week where it was a really good finisher against a really good minute winner. And I think it wound up finishing inside the distance. Oh, yeah. Marina Moroz versus Karine Silva. Karine Silva, 2 of 2 fights had finished under 2.5 rounds in the UFC. But for Moroz, it was 2 of 10. So you had to ask yourself, okay, if I like the over, I'm thinking that Moroz is the one who controls the pace of the fight. But if I like the under, it's going to be Silva because she's got 100% under 2.5 rounds rate in the UFC. So that was another situation where because Karine Killer Silva was one of the 2 fighters, it kind of overtook the fact that Marina Moroz had been a decision in 8 of her 10 UFC fights, and we cashed that under 2.5 rounds. And I'm planning to do the same thing here because of Na Liang and her inability to fight at the pace that she sets coming right out of the gate. We've got David Dennett saying Na runs through JJ via Barber-esque. We'll see about that, man. But that would be awesome if Na Liang won this fight in Singapore in the first round by some kind of a crazy finish. I would be going nuts, I promise you. LPX saying, thank you for the content. As always, my brother. Appreciate you, brother. I hope that you're doing well, man. Let me know if you need anything. You can always holler at me on Twitter, brother. Let me know if you need anything. I hope things are well with you at home. I know that you just recently went through what I went through. Matt A saying Aldrich round 3 or decision. That's very likely. EV plays. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, she probably wins this fight, but if now it wins it, it's going to be early. Nathan saying JJ Aldrich decision only. Oh, minus a million. Lack of the week. It is, dude. That's the lock of the week. Immaculate Town saying, laughing my ass off. What a metaphor. It is a metaphor for the fight. It really is. And you know what I mean? We're trying to be about information here on this channel. So, I mean, a good metaphor, a good analogy goes a long way. I bet now Liang fucks like she fights. 5 minutes, she'll put it on you like you've never had it before. But if she can't finish you quick, she goes starfish and waits to be tapped out. I'm with you completely on that, Go Flamingo. I think you said it perfectly, my friend. Remdog saying with not moving up to 125 lead to increased physicality, potential finishing ability, or gas in the tank. It could lead to all three, Remdog. She is moving up to 125 for this fight. So that makes that now Liang first round prop even more interesting because she won't be cutting as much weight and potentially she might have a little bit more in the tank. She's fighting at a healthier weight for her. We will have to, it remains to be seen whether that's the case or not. We've got my guy, Mushroom MMA, talking about the template of doom, and that's exactly what it is. Doom for the bookies when you have this kind of analytics at your fingertips at all times. We've got David Dennett saying, guys, I'm seeing now round 1 plus 1,000 and then round 1 KO TKO plus 3,000. Yeah, that's not a bad look, man. Hey, Weezy in chat, says Justin J. Mushroom saying Louisiana Jones. You got that right, dude. What's going on? Mushroom says go Flamingo. And JJ fighting an enemy turf, if anything. Time difference and other shit. Yeah, that all makes a difference. All of these American fighters are going to be fighting completely on the other side of the globe, 12 time zones away if you're from Florida. And if you're from those other places like the West Coast, it's 9 time zones away. So it's, it's a tall order. At Go Good, my friend, how about you? Go saying living pretty good, close to the dream, family all good. And Immaculate Time did not know it was 125. It can only help with someone with a shitty gas tank. Thanks for pointing that out, Remdog. Yeah, for sure, man. Very important information there. But we are falling behind, you guys. We got to get to the third fight of the night, which is going to be Yusaku Kinoshita at minus 126 going up against Billy Goff at plus 106. Fight doesn't go to decision for this one at minus 275. So let's get the Kinoshita Goff stats up there. Goff will be making his debut, and Kinoshita only has one fight that lasted 1 round. So let's first start talking about Billy Goff. He's got a 1.5-inch reach advantage over Kinoshita, and Billy has the overall and UFC experience advantage with 2 more pro fights and 60 more minutes in the pro cage. Billy Goff is very durable, you guys. This guy always seems to get shit kicked in the first round of all of his fights, but he finds a way to weather the storm, continues to pressure, and throw big shots. And once something lands, he swarms and he finishes the fight. If Billy was a little more defensively responsible, he would take less damage, but he definitely trusts his durability, and that style works for him. Billy does pressure a lot on the feet, and he throws with power, and he's durable. So that combination of attributes is a very difficult situation for anyone to deal with. It's impossible to make someone like Billy fuck off. You got to hit him in the head with a shovel to get him out of there. So you need to be mindful not to empty the tank trying to finish this guy, because no matter what you do, he's probably going to be there for the duration, just from what we've seen on tape from him. The guy's heart is as big as a truck, because you see in every damn fight, he's getting kicked in the head or he's getting his back taken and he's fighting off chokes for 3 minutes. He's getting dropped, but he never gives up. He stays defensively sound while his opponent's trying to finish him. And then when his opponent just takes one little break, he just starts stepping on the gas and he changes the momentum of the fight. And he always seems to find that part of the fight where the momentum changes. And when it does, he puts it on his opponent about 5 times faster than what they put it on him. So he's a very, very interesting archetype of fighter to talk about betting on or against is Billy Goff. But let's give you some color on Kinoshita as well. He's 2 years younger than Billy, and he's going to have a 2-inch height advantage in this spot. Kinoshita has a 100% finish rate as a pro. He's definitely a killer-be-killed fighter who has fantastic power, and he's explosive and athletic. And he's a very good striker for his age. I mean, the kid's only 23 years old, but he looked great on the Contender Series. He landed 54 of 89 distance strikes with a knockdown and a win by knockout against a much taller and longer opponent. He mixes up his targets well, and he throws with power when he's on the feet. And Kinoshita shows a good ground game on the regional scene as well. 4 of his 5 amateur wins are by armbar, and he has wins by rear naked choke and front choke in the promotions Deep and Pancrase. He definitely got audited on the ground by Fugit in his UFC debut. So it remains to be seen if Kinoshita has a UFC level ground game yet. But we're going to find that out here against Billy Goff, because we've seen Billy Goff do some really good work from top position, landing ground and pound after he lands a big shot or after he gets a takedown. But we've also seen Billy Goff be put in some really bad spots on the ground. In particular, I'm looking at the Justin Sumter fight, where Sumter really had him in some bad spots in the first round, had his back, was working for submissions the entire time, and Billy really didn't have an answer. It really took the round ending to get Sumter off of him, and then he wound up getting a finish in the second. So yeah, we're going to find out a lot more about Kinoshita. He's still only 23 years old. He still only has 8 professional fights, and we just saw him kind of get his first loss here against Fugit. The loss that came before that was a disqualification where he was curb stomping his opponent, and the curb stomp, perfectly legal, but grabbing onto the fence while you're curb stomping your opponent, evidently that's frowned upon in Japan. So that's why he lost that fight. He really would have been 7-0 going into that fight against Fugit in his UFC debut, where he lost. Now, I think Kinoshita is probably the better fighter here. He's more technical. He's a southpaw. He has the more polished ground game, and he has natural power and opportunistic finishing ability. But that being said, Goff is so durable. So I worry about a finisher doing what he usually does to finish guys, right? Somebody like Kinoshita, who has a 100% finish rate, is going to trust his ability to be able to find that finish, right? But if it doesn't happen, if that finish doesn't come and his gas tank is spent from trying to finish, and Goff does what he always does, comes from behind to get a finish against a gassed opponent, I mean, it's a long trip for Goff, and it's his UFC debut. So those are some narrative issues to be aware of. And honestly, I see Goff lose way too many minutes on the regional scene for me to back him in the UFC against guys who are less likely to gas after 5 minutes. So I'm going to go with Kinoshita, and I think he's actually going to get a finish here, but I think it's going to come late in the fight. I'm thinking Kinoshita gets a third round knockout. I'm worried about an adrenaline dump for Billy Goff, with this being his UFC debut in front of a hostile crowd 12 hours from home in Singapore. Kinoshita now has been there before. He knows what it's like to be under the bright lights. And he shit himself, frankly, against Fugit. Dude was like a minus 400 favorite in that fight. So he's went from a minus 400 favorite against a guy in Goff who loses a ton of minutes and rounds on the regional scene, and now he's like pretty close to a pick'em here. So I do think that the value is on Kinoshita. He's got one more UFC level fight, so he knows what it's like to be there. He's fighting much closer to home than Billy Goff. And I think that, you know, he does have a ton of power, but we saw him carry that power into the third round of his DWCS fight against Luis Enrique. And, you know, it didn't look like the moment was too big for him then. So because he's at home, because he's a little more experienced, and because I think that he's just a little bit less likely to make mistakes here, that I'm going to go with Yusaku Kinoshita to win this fight by third round knockout. All right. Look at the handsome now Liang over there. I love it. All right. So we're going Kinoshita to win by KO in round number 3. Very tall order for Billy Goff on his UFC debut to travel all the way to Singapore and take on a young prospect like Kinoshita, when Goff himself is not the most experienced fighter. Small experience advantage against Kinoshita overall, but still, it's going to be a tough road to hoe, and I'm going with Kinoshita by third round knockout. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. MMA Jesus likes Kinoshita all day. Goff says Mushroom MMA. Nate saying the UFC want to build Kinoshita. They want him to win. I like Kinoshita. Yeah, I mean, they're not looking to bring guys in from America to beat the local guys in Singapore, to fire up that Singapore crowd and make them think that they got their money's worth. No, man, they're looking to get their Asian prospects wins in these spots. And, you know, that's what they're trying to do here with Kinoshita. The guy's a very, very young and very high level prospect at this point. So I think they want to get him a win. James Hardib saying Giga is a lock. Who's the next parlay piece? Hey, how about a now Liang JJ Aldrich fight doesn't go to decision for a nice parlay piece there? And then I'll give you another nice parlay piece a little bit later on when I tell you who Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is this week, James. We got just gave you a like, Uncle Weezy. Oi, appreciate you, James. Thank you so much for hitting that thumbs up button. We got 70 of you in here. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out on a Tuesday night with your Uncle Weezy. Billy Stein saying, hell yeah. Oi, what's up, Cole? We got Mushroom saying, what's up to Cole? We got Nora Shy saying Billy goes off. Well, I mean, Billy is awesome. I'm a fan of Billy Goff, and this is a great fight on a great card. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And the next fight, absolute certified bang. You guys, we've got Song Kenan, the assassin. He is a big underdog at plus 260, going up against a young, hungry Peruvian in Rolando Bedoya at minus 310 here. The young man Bedoya is. Fight doesn't go to decision at minus 165 for this fight. So let me bring up the stats here. And there we go. Now, let's first start talking about Song the Assassin Kenan. He's got the overall and the UFC experience advantages in this spot. He's got 10 more professional fights than Rolando, even though he's been a pro for 2 months less. Song also has 6 more UFC fights and 45 more minutes in the octagon. Song is the better moment winner, finisher. He's had a career 89% finish rate in 18 pro wins, 7 coming by way of submission, 9 coming by way of knockout, compared to an only 46% finish rate for Rolando Bedoya. Song's an excellent striker. He mixes up his weapons well, and he throws with power. He's a bit of a counter striker, low volume but powerful. He's landed 4 knockdowns in 7 UFC fights, and 3 of his 4 UFC wins come by way of knockout. Song's not the best minute winner, but he does have the ability to win moments with his precise, powerful counter striking. And Song has definitely fought the better brand of competition overall. Bedoya looked great in his UFC debut versus Chaos Williams, but Song has 7 UFC fights. So obviously he's been in there with the higher level competition. And Song Kenan even fought Israel Adesanya on the regional scene up at 185. So yeah, this dude has fought really good level of competition in the UFC and outside of it, and he's a lot more experienced than Rolando. But Bedoya is 7 years younger than Song, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage in this spot. And Bedoya is just stupid durable. This guy looks like as if he's impervious to power. No matter how hard, how clean you land on this kid, he just smiles and counters. It's very unnerving the way this kid can walk through his opponent's best shots. So if that durability holds up against a big hitter like Song, then it's really hard to see him not winning the minutes in this fight. Because look at Rolando Bedoya. I know it's a small sample size, you guys, but he's attempting 14.34 distance strike attempts per minute, 3.32 more than the divisional average. While Song Kenan in a big sample size is only attempting 9.49, which is about 1.5 less than the divisional average. So Rolando throws so much more volume. He's incredibly accurate, 69.4% distance striking accuracy. You see the number here for Kenan at 44%. 44% is above average distance striking accuracy. Bedoya, 69%. Kid's got a great jab, a crispy jab that lands. He throws a lot in combination. He's got great low leg kicks. He goes to the legs. He goes to the body. He goes to the head, and he doesn't really seem to take any damage, no matter how hard or clean you hit him. So Bedoya is a very interesting puzzle to solve at this level. Bedoya showed nice striking in his UFC debut. He's got a fast, accurate jab. He counters well. He's really good with his counter striking. You always pay a price when you throw at Rolando. He's always coming back with something. And while in the pocket, he takes good angles and he moves a lot on the feet, which makes him hard to find. He landed 9.95 distance strikes per minute in almost 14 minutes at distance. So it's clear this kid trusts his chin and has no problem trading big shots in the pocket with a powerful striker like Chaos Williams. So this should be a fun striker versus striker fight. These guys have combined for 5 takedown attempts in 8 combined UFC fights. So I see this being an all-action striking match. I definitely like this matchup for Bedoya because he definitely looks like the better minute-winning striker here. And I feel as if I can count on his durability too, which will help him withstand Song's biggest shots and not allow him to win moments, which is how Song wins fights at the UFC level. If he's not knocking you down, if he's not knocking you out, he's only got 1 win by decision in the UFC. All the other 3 wins come by way of knockout. So you could see that Song in his career is 9-4 to the knockout. He's 7-0 to the submission, though. But Rolando Bedoya has never been finished. So I do think because Song's been knocked out 4 times that there's going to be a chance that Bedoya cracks this dude's chin. I like this matchup because, he looks like he's the better minute winning striker, Bedoya. And I can count on his durability, and I feel as if Bedoya is the more likely guy to win minutes in the grappling exchanges here if it does get there. When you watch the regional scene footage on Rolando, he can get takedowns and he can win minutes on top, and he can hunt for submissions, which is something that we don't see a lot out of Song Kenan. So I'm definitely picking Bedoya to win this fight, but with the long flight, the experience differential, the hostile crowd, I'd prefer not to lay the juice on Bedoya, but I am going to take a round knockout. So Rolando Bedoya, the machine, by knockout in round number 3 over the hometown favorite, Song the Assassin Kenan. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Cole saying what's up to up to Mushroom. Mushroom MMA. If the ass shaving is Parker Porter, you're going to need a bigger razor. That's going to be one big razor to shave that fat ass of his, man. Hui in the room saying the wrestling will be a problem and Goff could win by ground and pound. Yes, he could. When Goff gets on top, he does great work there, man. We've got Hardlib saying I'm max betting Giga and Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week in the parlay. Oh, let's get it, man. And we've got Immaculate Ton saying Song literally knocked out Ian Gary, then decided to hold him up against the cage. LOL. The lowest IQ I might have ever seen in a fight. Even as a dog, I never put hard-earned money on him. Yeah, he caught him with a left hook. And Gary's very lucky that Song caught him with the left hook and not with the straight right, because Song's straight right is nasty. And I think if Song had caught him with that straight right, it would have been curtains for Gary instead of just being knocked down and not out. But yeah, he did stupid things after he dropped him. He should have welcomed him back up and then tried to close that distance and land that big shot to finish the fight. Nate Robinson saying all those Bedoya stats based on the one fight could be you're probably saying could be deceiving with the sample size. Yeah, it is deceiving, but Nate, when you watch the regional scene footage on Bedoya, it's the same thing. He's high volume. He's got a big motor. He throws in combination. He brings a lot of volume. He brings a lot of pressure, and he can trust his chin, so he can continue to do that. The kid's conditioning is damn good too. So I think we're going to continue to see what Bedoya did in that first fight. Definitely because Song Kenan is a very similar opponent to Chaos Williams. They're both power strikers who look to win with knockouts and aren't the best minute winners. Golden Octagon saying, oi, what's up, Uncle Weezy in chat? I can't believe we're going to be making money so early this week. Let's go, man. Let's do it, dude. Earlier in the day, cash in those bets earlier. Maybe we take our significant others out for a nice dinner on Saturday night with all the money that we take from the bookies this week. Nate Robbins saying, like to see decision only for Bedoya. Yeah, that would be an interesting look because he's the much better minute winner in my opinion here. So I think it would be a good look. Gogo saying Seungwoo Choi money line, Liang JJ under 1.5, Chikadze money line, Blanchfield money line, max 4-5 decision, Wake Sergey Spivak money line on top. If that pleases you, I've got so many winning parlays with that end with that. It's scary. I like all of those except for the Blanchfield money line because I have no idea who's going to win that fight. I'll tell you guys who I'm picking when we break it down, but I seriously, those two are so well matched. And I kind of feel like I need to sit back and watch that and just get information about the whole of that division, because these are two of the top 5 fighters in that division, and they're going to be squaring off, and we're going to learn a lot about both of them because neither one of them has ever been finished. So chances are that fight goes the full 15, and we're going to find out a lot about who's stronger, whose wrestling is better, and who could be the one that dictates where the fight takes place. So everything other than the Blanchfield money line, because I'm not confident about that fight, I love. But I would not be surprised to see Blanchfield win. At Mushroom, I'm looking forward to Tafa and Porter wheezing through haymakers. Yeah, that'll be fun, man. Saw Bedoya got the blonde hair for the fight. Seems like a lock at this point. Yeah, he probably is. Yep. All right, you guys, let's keep moving here. We're already an hour and 5 minutes into the show. I got to pick up the pace here. So we're going to talk about Chidi Bang Bang Njokuani going up against Michal Husar Oleksiejczuk. You spell Oleksiejczuk Oleksiejczuk, about as easy as it gets. I've remembered that one. It's a beautiful Polish name, but let's first start talking here about Chidi Bang Bang. He's the much bigger dude in this fight. He's 3 inches taller, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage over Michal here. He's got the overall experience advantage. He has 7 more pro fights and almost 100 more minutes in the pro cage and 6 more years as a professional fighter. Chidi's a fantastic kickboxer. He's got 14 wins by way of knockout, and he's won both of his UFC fights by way of knockout. Chidi has 2 knockdowns in 4 UFC fights, and he's got a positive 0.45 distance strike differential with excellent 46.5% accuracy and a slightly above average 60.8% distance striking defense. His opponent is also a talented and powerful kickboxer, so this should be a really fun fight to watch on the feet. And Chidi's a BJJ black belt, so I'd say he's the better grappler here, even though both of these guys traditionally prefer to stand and bang. If this fight does go to the ground, it's probably Chidi who does better when the fight is there. Now, Oleksiejczuk is 6 years younger than Chidi Njokuani. Michal has the UFC experience advantage with 7 more fights and almost 50 more minutes in the octagon. Did I put up the line for this? Nope. Sorry, guys. The line is very close on this fight. Chidi minus 104, Michal Oleksiejczuk minus 116. The fight doesn't go at minus 280 for this fight. So, where did I leave off? Okay, Michal is the slight, or wait, no, I'm sorry. Michal has the UFC experience advantage in this spot. He's got 7 more fights and almost 50 more minutes in the octagon compared to Chidi. And Michal has the slightly better minute-winning metrics at distance striking range. His distance striking differential is better than Chidi's. It's 0.086 to the positive side, plus 0.045 or plus 0.45 for Chidi. His accuracy is almost 1% better, and his defense is almost 6% better. Oleksiejczuk has a very herky-jerky style on the feet, and as a result, his opponents find him difficult to hit. That 66% distance striking defense is no joke. It's very, very good. And let's see here. Michal throws more offensive output than Chidi, and he loves to pressure and work the body at distance striking range. He also has shown serious power, landing a knockdown in 2.32% of the distance strikes he's landed. That's 7 knockdowns in 11 UFC fights, and 5 of his 6 UFC wins come by way of knockout. Michal also manages to keep a much higher percentage of his fights at distance striking range, where he does his best work. 77% of Oleksiejczuk's fights take place at distance striking range. For Chidi, it's about 58%. And Michal has fought and beaten the more experienced level of UFC competition. This is such a good fight. It's a striker versus striker fight, power versus power, finisher versus finisher. Both of these guys have a ton of knockdowns and a ton of knockout finishes on their resume. I mean, look at this. Chidi's landing knockdowns on almost 3% of the distance strikes that he lands, 2.32 for Oleksiejczuk. Both of these guys are landing almost 2% knockdowns per total significant strikes landed. And you see Njokuani 14-4 to the knockout, Oleksiejczuk 13-1 to the knockout. So both of these guys have got a ton of power. And I would say it's Oleksiejczuk who's actually the more durable guy because he's been submitted 4 times, but only been knocked out once, while we've seen Chidi submitted 3 times, but knocked out 4 times in his pro losses. So this promises to kind of be the kind of fight where these guys try to punt each other's heads into the cheap seats. It's a really hard fight to predict because trying to guess who lands the first big shot is difficult. But here's what I like. I like Oleksiejczuk's pressure. I like his durability. Dude, I've seen Oleksiejczuk eat some really clean shots and just walk right through them. So if that durability holds up, it's going to be Oleksiejczuk who's pressuring. It's going to be Oleksiejczuk who works that body. And I think as the fight goes on, we see Chidi getting a lot of wins early in fights, but we don't see him getting a lot of wins late in fights. While Oleksiejczuk, that pressure and that volume and that he puts on you definitely makes him get a little bit better as the fight goes on. And as long as Oleksiejczuk isn't really grappling much, the conditioning is going to be there. And I think he'll be a lot more active. So Michal hasn't been knocked out since 2014. So I think I'm gonna go with the youth of Michal. I'm gonna go with the pressure of Michal, the body work of Michal, and what I think might be the better durability. So I'm gonna go with Oleksiejczuk to get the job done, and I'm gonna pick him to win by second round knockout in this fight. But I do think that this fight definitely finishes inside the distance. I think both of these guys have so much power, and both of these guys are so skilled at distance striking range. I also see there being a significant possibility that because Oleksiejczuk pressures so much, because he works the body so much, might be a great spot for Chidi to land like a sniper-like counter shot that drops Oleksiejczuk. But I mean, Oleksiejczuk's never been dropped in 11 UFC fights. So I like that durability that he's shown, and I'm going to trust the durability in the youth of Oleksiejczuk, pick him to win by second round knockout. All right, let's get right to this next fight. It is going to be Toshiomi Kazama at plus 150 going up against Garrett Armfield at minus 175. Fight doesn't go to decision, juiced up here at minus 200 for this fight. Let me get the stats up here for you guys. And let's first start talking about Toshiomi Kazama. Toshi is 1 year younger and he's 1 inch taller than Garrett Armfield. He's got more experience in less years as a pro fighter. Toshi has 2 more pro fights and 25 more minutes in the pro cage in 1.5 years less as a pro fighter. So not only is Toshi more experienced, but he's also been busier, fighting 5 times a year compared to a little more than twice a year for Garrett Armfield. And Toshi's an excellent grappler. He does a good job of both minute and moment winning in the grappling exchanges. He has excellent judo. He does a great job of getting trip takedowns from the clinch. And once he gets fights to the ground, he's very tricky and unusual the way he hunts for his subs. But he's also shown the ability to stay in dominant positions and land ground and pound while winning minutes and not losing position from top control. On the feet, Kazama recklessly pressures forward to set up the clinch entries where he gets his trips, sweeps, and reaps that allows him to be able to set up his grappling game. Everything Toshi does in his MMA game is made to set up that grappling, which is where he does his best work. Now, Garrett Armfield, he's going to have a 1 inch reach advantage over Toshi. He has a slightly better finish rate as a pro, 87.5% for Garrett compared to 80% for Toshi. And Garrett has 5 wins by knockout and 2 wins by submission. Garrett has really solid pocket boxing. He does his best work on the feet which is where we've seen Toshi show serious defensive liabilities. While this fight is on the feet, it's hard to imagine Garrett not winning the minutes and the moments. But I think Garrett has also faced the tougher level of competition on the regional scene. He's lost to quality opponents like David Onama, Ronnie Lawrence, Mateo Vogel. But if you look at both fighters' wins, it appears that these guys have beaten a similar level of competition. Not a lot of great wins on Garrett Armfield's resume. And I'd say the same thing about Toshiomi Kazama. But I think this fight comes down to where it takes place. Garrett Armfield, 5 wins, 0 losses to the knockout in his career, while Kazama is 5 wins and 0 losses to the submission in his career. I like Kazama's pressure. I like his judo, and I like his submission grappling game that allows him to win moments with his submission attempts, but not just that. It's the top control and the minute winning capability that he also brings with that grappling attack of his. On the regional scene footage we've seen of Armfield, we've seen him be able to be taken down, and that's something he can't allow Kazama to do if he wants to prevent Toshi from being comfortable in this fight. This is as striker versus grappler as it gets. And because I've seen Armfield be vulnerable to the takedown, and we also have to consider that he's going to be a long way from home fighting in front of a Singapore crowd that's going to be rooting for Toshi, and Garrett will literally be on the other side of the globe, a 12-hour time difference from Florida where he trains. I like the stylistic matchup for Kazama here, and I hate the narrative concerns for Armfield, who's on over a year layoff right now, who's coming off that loss by sub to David Onama up at 145. This fight's going to be taking place at 135. So as a result of that, I'm going to pick Toshiomi Kazama to not only win this fight, but finish it inside the distance via second round submission. I love this guy's ground game. I love the grappling that he brings. He's got a very unusual and tricky submission attack. And I also think that even if he doesn't get the submission, that he's going to land a ton of ground and pound on top and win a ton of minutes if he's able to kind of close that distance on Armfield, get this into the clinch, and start to work those judo trips. So Toshiomi Kazama to win by second round submission is the pick. I'm going with the underdog here. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. We got EQ in the room saying, oh, yes, what's up, dude? We got James saying fight doesn't go to decision all day. We got H. Hui saying also Bedoya was doing some wrestling during his camp, so the takedown will be big. This Chidi fight is sketchy. Yeah, it is, man. I don't think I'm going to have any money on it. Note to self, do not have anyone from Peru. It's a long way away from Singapore. And note to self, do not fade anyone from Peru. These Peruvians, they're wild, man. They're definitely taking over right now. It started with Claudio Puelles, but then you had Daniel Marcos, Rolando Bedoya. You just had a kid get a win on the Dana White's Contender Series. I think it was last week or the week before. Some of these Peruvian fighters are pretty damn good, man. All right, you guys, let's go to this next fight, which is going to be Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortes-Acosta, Dominican Republic, stand up, going up against Lukasz Brzeski. We got Cortes-Acosta minus 224 favorite, Brzeski plus 189 dog, minus 105. Fight doesn't go to decision for this fight. Let's get the stats up here on the screen. All right, and let me get my notes up. Take a little drink of water here. All right, and let's get to work here. Let's first start talking about Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortes-Acosta. He's been more active as a professional, and he has one more UFC fight, and he's got 15 more minutes in the UFC octagon than Lukasz does. Waldo will have the much better conditioning. Both guys are high-volume heavyweights, but it's crystal clear which fighter will be able to sustain that pace for longer, and it's definitely Waldo. Waldo has really clean and technical boxing for a heavyweight. He stays behind a crisp jab. He has way above average volume, attempting 15.36 distance strikes per minute, landing at a 51% rate with a positive 3.21 distance striking differential, and he's landing a whopping 7.87 distance strikes per minute. And that's 3.71 more than the divisional average. As long as this fight is at distance striking range, I like Waldo to outpace Lukasz over the long haul. Lukasz is also very high volume. He also mixes up his targets well, but he cannot push the pace in the second and third round as heavily as he does early. And we've seen that Cortes has got fantastic conditioning that goes the full 3 rounds. And Waldo has fought the more experienced guys at the UFC level, and I'd say he fought better regional scene guys, as Acosta has a huge win over Thomas Peterson in LFA that won him the LFA title. Now, Lukasz Brzeski, he's got a slight overall experience advantage with 3 more pro fights and around 6 more minutes of pro cage time in 5 more years as a pro fighter. Lukasz has been the better finisher as a pro with an 88% finish rate and 8 pro wins. He's got 2 submissions and 5 knockouts compared to only a 55% finish rate for Waldo Cortes-Acosta. And Lukasz is also a solid high-volume minute winner at distance striking range like Acosta is. However, one thing Brzeski does well that we've seen Acosta struggle with is land big calf kicks. Because as a boxer, Acosta is very heavy on that lead leg, and he doesn't check leg kicks. So attacking Waldo's calf would be a very smart move for Lukasz. I also think Lukasz can match Waldo's pace for a while and potentially win minutes at range early in this fight. Now, Lukasz has more grappling upside in this matchup. We saw Lukasz get 2 takedowns and almost 8 minutes control time on Dana White Contender Series and land some ground and pound and eventually finish with a sub that was controversial due to the incompetence of Mark Smith stopping the fight too soon. He thought he saw a tap from Dylan Potter that never happened. But we saw Lukasz show off some solid trips, some ground and pound, and the ability to rack up minutes of control time while landing strikes and hunting for submissions. So these guys are very similar in terms of measurables and experience. I favor Acosta's boxing, his power, definitely his conditioning, and definitely his durability more than I do Lukasz's. I think Brzeski's only path here is a volume-based decision, which is possible, but I think Acosta gets the job done here, and I think he finds a late finish due to that conditioning and power advantage that he has. I'm going to pick Waldo Cortes-Acosta to win this fight by 3rd round knockout. So Waldo Cortes-Acosta, Salsa Boy here, is going to knock out Lukasz Brzeski in round number 3. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Mushroom agrees. Acosta 3rd round decision. That's what I'm thinking. I think he either gets that 3rd round knockout, that attritional knockout, or he winds up getting a decision win here over Brzeski. But I do like Waldo to win this fight quite a bit, you guys. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Junior Tafa, the favorite at -141, going up against Paca Porta, +121. Fight doesn't go to decision for this one. Juice to the tits at -325. So let's first start talking about Junior Tafa here. He is 11 and a half years younger than Parker, and he is 3 inches taller than Parker Porter. Junior is a finisher. He's finished all 4 of his pro wins inside the distance by knockout. Porter is not durable, so there's a high probability of a finish if Tafa lands a big shot. Junior's the better kickboxer in this spot as well. He's got a ton of power in his hands that we saw on display in the Usman fight. He does throw wide looping punches, so he definitely has room to improve and be more technical and crisp. But you know for a fact this kid is always one big bomb away from winning a fight. We don't have many stats or metrics to go on due to the small sample size, but I do think that Junior is way more likely to win minutes and moments on the feet against Paca Porta. Now, Porter is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage over Junior. He's got the overall and the UFC experience advantages, as Junior only has 5 professional fights. Parker has 16 more pro fights than Junior, like 2 hours more in the cage, and almost 15 more years as a professional mixed martial artist. Parker also has 6 more UFC fights and over 40 more minutes in the octagon compared to Junior. And Paca is going to be the superior grappler here. He wins 70% of the control time positions that he's been in, and Parker has won every fight in the UFC where he got a takedown. And when he doesn't get a takedown, he's 1 win and 3 losses. Especially in this matchup, it's going to be crucial that Parker gets takedowns and that he piles up control time, because every minute you stand at distance striking range against a guy like Tafa is very dangerous, especially if you aren't known for being durable. And Parker Porter, 3 losses by submission, 5 by knockout. He's been finished in 100% of his losses. One of them is a DQ loss, but still, the guy's never lost by decision in his career. So Parker Porter gets finished, and Junior Tafa finishes dudes. Look at Porter, 6-5 to the knockout. So he's like 500 to the knockout, while Tafa's 4-0 to the knockout. So yeah, Tafa better land a big shot here. I think Junior Tafa by KO is probably the best way to go here. But this fight comes down to, wait a second. Parker has 6 more UFC fights than Junior Tafa, so he has more pro MMA fights. So obviously Parker has fought and beaten the better brand of competition in comparison to Junior. Now, this fight comes down to who decides where the fight takes place. If the fight stays standing, I heavily favor Tafa with his power and durability. But if Porter can get this fight to the ground, he'll be live to not only win minutes and rounds, but he can also get a sub or a ground and pound finish. Tafa stopped a lot of takedowns against Usman. We can see here that he had 12 takedowns attempted against him, and he stuffed 10 of them. But he still gave up 80% control time in that fight. So he gave up over 12 minutes of control time to Usman, which cost him that fight. Parker hasn't been the most efficient wrestler, but when he does get his opponent down, they tend to stay there for a while, and Parker has good ground and pound and submissions. I still think Parker is going to have to fight a perfect fight to win here. I don't see him getting takedowns in every round, and if he doesn't do exactly that, I see Tafa getting the knockout win here. I'm going to pick Junior Tafa to win this one by first round KO, but God help Junior if Parker Porter takes this man down and gets that gigantic ass of his on top, because he's going to be there for the rest of the round or until Parker gets the sub or the ground and pound finish. So Junior Tafa, the juggernaut, first round knockout, very fun fight. And now we get to the main card, and we are starting with an absolute banger here. Erin, cold-blooded Blanchfield at -140, squaring off against Taila Santos, +120. The fight doesn't go to decision here at +215 for this fight. Woo, this is a banger, you guys. This is such a banger. This is about as high level as it gets for the women's flyweight division, and the women's flyweight division is like a great top 5 right now with your champion in Valentina Shevchenko. You got Erin Blanchfield. You got Taila Santos. You've got Manon Firo. Even Rose Namajunas is moving up to 125 to fight Firo here. You got Karine Silva. You got Natalia Silva. You got Jasmine Jazz Davicius. The women's flyweight division is in really good shape right now. And these are 2 of the ladies who are on the top of the mountain there. So let's first start talking about cold-blooded Erin Blanchfield here after I get a sip of water. All right. Erin is 6 years younger than Taila Santos. Erin has been the better finisher at the UFC level, finishing 3 of her 5 UFC wins by way of submission, while Taila has finished 1 of 4 UFC wins by way of submission. Erin has been a very busy striker in the UFC. In the over 20 minutes her fights have spent at distance striking range, she's landing 8.51 distance strikes per minute with 45% accuracy and a positive 1.36 distance striking differential. The pressure Erin brings along with the constant output is difficult to deal with, and when you pair that with the threat of the wrestling and grappling Erin brings, it makes her very difficult to deal with at distance. And Erin is a phenomenal grappler. She's got 12 UFC takedowns while only allowing 2. She's winning over 97% of the control time positions her fights have been in on 3.76 takedowns per 15 minutes at a fantastic 63% accuracy on those takedown attempts. Erin's efficiency, her wrestling, her top control, her ground and pound, her submission grappling are all on point. Seeing how they shape up against an opponent like Santos is going to be very interesting. And Erin's strength of schedule metrics are actually just a tad better than Taila's. The overall ratio is better, 1.42, as we can see here for Erin Blanchfield. It's 1.17 for Taila Santos. And the combined records of their opponents, 34 wins and 24 losses for Erin Blanchfield, an average record of 6.8 and 4.8, while for Taila it's 41 and 35, an average record of 6.8 and 5.83. Now, Taila Santos is going to be the bigger flyweight here. She's 2 inches taller, and she's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage over Blanchfield. Taila has the overall and UFC experience advantages. She's got 9 more pro fights, 40 more minutes in the pro cage, and over 4 more years as a professional fighter. Taila also has 1 more UFC fight and 40 more minutes in the octagon. And Taila's a very solid Muay Thai kickboxer. She has a lot of power. She's landed 3 knockdowns in 6 UFC fights, landing a knockdown on 1.78% of the distance strikes that she lands. Erin will be busier on the feet and the fighter more likely to pressure, but Taila is more technical and powerful, so Erin needs to be careful to be not too reckless with her pressure, or she could walk onto a counter that really hurts. Taila has shown a suffocating grappling game in the UFC. She gets her takedown attempts at a mind-blowing 88% accuracy, 15 of 17 on her takedown attempts. And she's out-controlling her opponents 46% to 17%, which means she's winning about 73% of the control time positions her fights have been in. And even though both ladies have fought really good UFC competition, it's Santos' performance versus Valentina Shevchenko that really stood out and proved that Taila is top 3 in this division. So, first of all, when we summarize this fight, I just want to say I wish that this was 5 rounds. This is such a high-level fight right here. It's honestly shocking that it isn't a main or a co-main event. Both of these ladies are traveling a long way to get to Singapore, and it's so hard for me to know which one of these ladies is going to be the stronger wrestler here. Santos is 15 of 17 on her takedown attempts in the UFC, which is amazing. Thus far, Erin has won the higher percentage of control time positions, but she never fought Valentina. I favor Santos' strength, her power, and her technical stand-up, while I think Erin's volume, her wrestling, and her submission grappling and her youth are huge factors here. And I also like the fact that Erin is 6 years younger. I think that that's very important. She's still only 24 years old, while Santos is 30. Erin really hasn't looked overwhelmed by any situation she's faced thus far, and I doubt that that's going to start now. But I just feel as if Taila is going to be a little bit stronger in the clinch and the wrestling exchanges, and will be the one who winds up in top position winning minutes. This one could go either way, but my pick here is going to be Taila Santos to win this fight by decision here. I hate picking against my girl, Erin Blanchfield, but when you look at those last 2 fights, Jessica Andrade, who Erin Blanchfield just beat, might be washed. She might be checked out. She got her contract. She made a ton of money on OnlyFans. She bought her parents a house. She's financially set now, and she's taken short notice fights against Erin Blanchfield, against Tatiana Suarez, and now she's stepping up to fight Mackenzie Dern on short notice. So I just take so much more confidence from Taila Santos' last performance against Shevchenko, the woman that we know is in fact at the top of the division. So I think Erin comes into this fight with a ton to prove here, because Taila has went out there and went 5 rounds with Valentina, and I do think that she won that fight. As a matter of fact, she got her face busted up, but it was due to a headbutt. So she even fought through that, and she was stronger than Valentina in those grappling exchanges. And when Valentina was trying to go for trips, sometimes she wound up on her ass with Taila on top. So I think that's what's going to happen here. So I'm going to pick Taila Santos to win this fight by decision. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Parker Posterior says my guy. And my guy Victor De Jesus, he taught me about Platano power, which is the power of the Dominicans. You know, they eat a lot of plantains, a lot of good things in the plantains, a lot of nutritional value, make you big, make you strong, make you a hard hitter. So definitely the Dominican Republic Platano power of Waldo Cortes-Acosta is going to be a big factor here, and the biggest posterior in the UFC there, man. And we've got Victor saying Porker by flying twister. It would be the first flying twister in UFC history, but if there's anyone that could pull it off, it's definitely Porter. Nathan Robinson saying, if I'm not mistaken, Junior Tafa has a win in boxing over a guy that had to have been 300 pounds plus. Means nothing, but it was a sight to behold. I'll send a photo to you on Discord if I find it. Appreciate that, man. I mean, I know that I've got the tape index up here, and there are some fights for Tafa here. This Quan Cho Lo is a kickboxing fight. Anthony McDonald, kickboxing. Chad Kapenik, kickboxing. And then Christian Balls was a Muay Thai fight. So I don't know which one of those guys, but and I don't even know if it's one of those fights. But yeah, that would be interesting to see. Sean V is saying, Blanchfield, easiest money on the card. It's a bad stylistic matchup for Santos. Definitely remains to be seen. The one thing that I don't want to do about this fight, Sean, is be too confident on either side, because both of these ladies, frankly, are phenomenal. So picking against either one of them is really risky. I mean, Blanchfield, I think, has more to prove here, though. That's why I'm going with Santos. But would I be surprised if Blanchfield did to Santos what she did to Maverick, what she did to McCann, what she did to Andrade? No, probably not, man, because she's just that good, and she's definitely a prodigy. But in my opinion, I'm going with the fighter that I have a little more, that I feel like I know a little bit more about at this point. I'm going to go with Taila. And we've got Vic saying he's got 1 unit at plus 135 on the current champ Santos. Man, that's a good line that you got there, man. And it's always about the line, isn't it, Victor? I mean, like, this fight is going to be close, and you're getting a fighter that's fought that better, you know, had fought the best fighter out of both of them in Valentina Shevchenko. Yeah, and Mushroom saying what I saw. I mean, I thought she beat Shevchenko. And Sean saying what's up to Mushroom. Short notes on Erin, future champ. That could fucking be. Yeah, man. Not a lot of line movement. Nope. I think it's right about where it should be, man. One arrived before the other by days, though. Oh, that's good. Whoever arrived first is going to have a little bit of an advantage, because it's a massively long flight for Erin, and it's a massively long flight for Taila. I'm on a deserted island, it appears, with Porter. The entire universe is on Tafa by knockout, which has to be a bit of a red flag. Big step up for Tafa. It is. It is, because Muhammad Usman, who he was kind of like putting on skates and shit. I mean, we saw Muhammad Usman get absolutely starched in a couple of fights on the regional scene. And actually, he was kind of getting picked apart by Zach Palga before he landed that one big shot. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to take the Porter side, because if he does get these takedowns, you know, we saw Muhammad Usman, when he did get the takedowns and did get to the dominant positions, that he was able to win minutes there, and he was able to stay there. And that's going to be Porter's path to victory. But I just think on the feet, you know, the power and the durability advantage is just so much in Tafa's favor that it really worries me for a guy like Parker Porter, who gets his takedowns at like a 23% clip, that I have to really worry about this dude either finishing Tafa on the ground, which Muhammad Usman wasn't able to do, or getting takedowns in all 3 rounds. Saying don't do it. Feel about as confident in Erin as I was with Karine Silva. We'll see, man. I mean, dude, I haven't got any money on this fight yet, but if I was to put money on it, I think Santos is the better bet at the current line. Straight shots catch Erin. JJ had good success with her jab. Santos throws a lot more straight shots than hooks. And Erin hasn't fought anyone the size of Taila in the UFC. Those are all excellent points. Remdog saying Taila is good, but not as dangerous as Erin. I tend to agree with that. I think Erin when she gets on top, is just a completely different level of top pressure and submission grappling. Nate saying, I heard Taila got kicked from her gym because she wasn't paying people. Something to note. Yeah, some of those narrative things, you just never know how they're going to play out. If she could have finished Valentina, she wouldn't have got robbed. Yes, that's right. Taila has issues right now going on outside of the cage. Okay. And we got Taila has gone to decision in the majority of her fights, while Erin has many more finishes. Erin the lock. Yes, Erin is definitely the better finisher without question. Molly McCants. Yeah, and both of them have wins over Molly McCants. Erin Blanchfield by first round submission and Taila Santos by unanimous decision. And then did Weezy pick Aldrich and Brzeski? I picked Aldrich, but I picked Waldo Cortes-Acosta, my man. All right, let's move on to this next fight, which is going to be, let me get the stats up. It's going to be Rinya Nakamura going up against Fernie Garcia. Let's first start talking about Rinya Nakamura here. He's 3 years younger. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage, and he's the southpaw in this southpaw versus orthodox matchup here. And Rinya's the more opportunistic finisher as a pro. He's got an 85% finish rate in 7 pro wins. He's got 5 knockouts and 1 submission. And he's dangerous wherever the fight goes, and he can win minutes and moments everywhere. Nakamura throws bombs on the feet. He's such a difficult problem to solve because you know he has that elite level wrestling in his back pocket. So if you load up too much on your strikes, he can change levels and take you down. But when he plants his feet and commits to his punches, he really throws with power, and he has 5 wins by knockout to prove it, including a highlight reel win by head kick on the regional scene. And Nakamura is an elite world championship level wrestler. This dude could out-wrestle most of the bantamweight division right now. Rinya became the 2017 under-23 world champion in freestyle wrestling before retiring from wrestling at the age of 25 to pursue MMA. So you know this kid's wrestling chops are elite, and he showed a solid submission finish on the road to UFC versus Guzman. Now, Fernie Garcia is the more experienced fighter in this matchup. He's got 6 more fights. He's got about 2 more hours in the pro cage than Nakamura does, and he's got 5.5 more years as a pro fighter. He also has 1 more fight at the UFC level and almost 30 more minutes in the octagon. Now, Fernie's very durable. He's never been finished in 13 professional fights and 3 pro losses. And Fernie has crisp technical boxing. It's the best part of his MMA skill set. He dropped Heestand with a beautiful counter early in their fight, and he knocked out Josh Weems on DWCS. As long as this fight is on the feet, Fernie will be in decent shape. And Garcia is a little more experienced, and therefore he's fought the slightly better brand of competition as a professional. Now, in summary, it's an interesting fight. Nakamura is an incredible prospect. He's dangerous everywhere. He has elite wrestling. But if he fights like he did in the Kazama and Noze fights, he runs the risk of running into a counter from Garcia that could rock him. This is not the spot for Rinya to fall in love with his hands. That would be stupid. If he stands in front of Garcia and trades in the pocket with him, he's giving Garcia exactly what he needs to pull off the upset. I still have to go with Nakamura here. He's too good. He's too dangerous, but at the current odds, maybe Fernie by first round knockout could be a fat prop to lay a sprinkle on. But the pick is going to be Rinya Nakamura to win this one by second round ground and pound KO. Let me look at the line here for this one. What could we get Garcia round 1? Plus 1,800, and Garcia by knockout in round 1 plus 3,000, you guys. I mean, Fernie dropped Heestand in the first round. He knocked out Josh Weems in the first round. Let's take a look. Well, no, we can't actually take a look at that, but I kind of feel like first round knockout at plus 3,000 is worth a very small sprinkle, because when you look at Nakamura in that Kazama fight, in that Shohei Noce fight, pretty reckless, dude. He's leaving his chin out there. He's just kind of like standing in the pocket and throwing down with dudes that he's the better boxer than. So if you're putting Nakamura in your parlays, the only way that you're laying minus 800 on this dude is if he wrestles, because you don't have any business doing that if he doesn't wrestle. If he doesn't wrestle, Fernie Garcia is going to be live. But what makes Nakamura minus 800 here is the fact that he's probably going to wrestle. And if he does that, that's something that Fernie's had a lot of problems with in his career. And he's had a lot of problems with his wrestling defense against much lower level wrestlers than what Rinya Nakamura is. But I think I might take a little stab at Fernie Garcia first round knockout here and maybe just hope that Rinya fell in love with his hands a little bit too much and forgot what really got him here, and that's the elite level wrestling. But yeah, the pick is going to be Rinya Nakamura to win this one by second round knockout. All right. Let's go. And I don't think I put up these ads, or I don't have ads for you. I didn't put up the line. Rinya Nakamura is minus 800. Fernie Garcia plus 550, and the fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 325. So it's absolutely juiced to the tits here. So I'll probably be staying away from this, or maybe take just a real small 1/10 of a unit stab on Garcia by third round, or by first round knockout here. All right, let's get to the next fight. It's going to be Giga Chikadze at minus 250 going up against Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres at plus 210. The fight doesn't go to decision, plus money here at plus 140 for this fight, as both of these guys are extremely durable fighters. We've got, let me get my notes up here. And by the way, 63 of you still hanging out live here, almost midnight Central Time here in the Midwest. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment down below. And please consider joining the Patreon, where you can get access to stats like these for $10 a month. You can get access to all the analytics that are embedded in this amazing prop template here for $20 a month, about the best tool out there for data analysis of over-under bets in the UFC, because I have access to literally all of the analytics that are germane to making these kind of decisions. So please consider joining the Patreon. But even if you don't do that, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, and leave me a comment. And let's talk about this next fight, Giga Chikadze versus Alex Caceres. So this one is one I'm probably going to be entirely staying away from, because I believe that Giga Chikadze should win this fight, right? But Caceres is a lot more experienced than this guy. He's been around a lot longer. Caceres is somebody who's extremely durable. He's only been knocked out once in 35 fights in the UFC. So this guy, he's got a head like a brick, and it is very difficult to get him out of there unless you're submitting him. But that is not Giga Chikadze's game. As we can see, Giga's 9-0 to the knockout, but 1-1 to the submission. So the worst thing that Giga could do is try to attack Caceres where he's weakest, which is defending submissions, because actually Caceres is a pretty slick back taker, and he's going to be the better grappler in this matchup. But when you look at the striking metrics, what it comes down to for me is the power, right? Because you see the defense pretty similar for both of these guys. Caceres is a lot more accurate. He throws a little more volume, and he's got a better significant strike differential at distance than Chikadze does. But what Chikadze has is this 1.57% knockdown per distance strikes landed, compared to 0.5% for Alex Caceres. So, Chikadze about 3 times more powerful than Alex Caceres is. And in fact, he's landed 6 knockdowns in 8 UFC fights, and 3 of his 7 UFC wins come by way of knockout. So I just think that while this fight is on the feet, we know that both guys are really good kickboxers, but it's Giga who has that elite glory kickboxing background, the guy who's got more power. He's really more of a sniper. But I think Alex Caceres probably is the more durable fighter, actually, in terms of, even though Giga's never been knocked out, he's only got 17 professional fights, while Caceres has 35. So both of these guys have got good chins, but I think Caceres might be a little more durable here. And I know that Caceres is the better submission grappler, but it is Chikadze who's fought the more experienced competition overall. And the one place where I feel like you can really exploit Giga Chikadze is with the wrestling and the grappling, but Caceres doesn't grapple. 18 takedown attempts in 22 fights. He's gotten 12 of them, so that's really impressive. And he's a very efficient grappler. He wins about 3/8 of the control time positions, but he's really only attempting about 1 out of every 6 takedowns that happen in his fights. So he wins a higher percentage of control positions than he should because he's not the one offensively grappling. I think that this should be a fairly close fight. A couple things worry me. A 1.5 year layoff for a 35-year-old featherweight. That's a lot. That's a long layoff for a guy like Chikadze coming off of a really bad loss to Calvin Kattar. But, Caceres is a much different opponent. I think Giga should absolutely get the win here. I think he wins the minutes on the feet. I don't think there's much grappling to speak of, but Giga better be careful. What he can't do in this fight is get a little overzealous with that striking and wind up getting sloppy, because I'm not so much worried about him getting countered as I'm worried about him getting his back taken if he gets his head out over his knees too much. And Caceres can be very slick getting to somebody's back standing. So that's my only worry here. Caceres by submission, I think, might be his best path to victory here. I wonder what that's lined at. Caceres by sub is plus 600. I think that's an interesting way to look at it. But the pick is going to be Giga Chikadze to win this fight by decision because Alex Caceres is so durable. So I am going with Chikadze by decision. And that prop is plus 100, while the money line is sitting at minus 250. So a minus 250 money line is a 71% implied probability, while it's a 50% implied probability for the decision bet. So they're saying about 5/7 of Alex's of Giga's win condition is by decision. And so I kind of agree with that. I think he could maybe get a knockout, but I do think that the decision is definitely the best path for Giga here. So plus 100 Giga by decision, I think, is the best way to play this fight. Let's go to the let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. We got the Becca in the room saying, don't often get to watch live, but always appreciate the content. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you, Becca. We got Gogo saying, literally just found this out. Santos has split with the coach that prepared her for her last 3 fights. She hasn't paid him, and he's filed a lawsuit for embezzlement. Her head coach is now her boyfriend. Wow. I did not know that. And that is very, very interesting. So that is something we definitely have to take into account. I don't have any bets on that fight, but wow. Sean V saying, Nathan, not easy, and I don't think Erin finishes, but I do think she gets a convincing decision win. Let's see. We've got Mushroom is going to be heading out. He's saying he's got to get up at 6 a.m., and right now it is 1 a.m. in Philly. So he'll watch the rest on replay tomorrow. Mushroom, thanks for hanging out, brother. Have a great day at work tomorrow, and let's stack them high for this event. And we've got, he's saying, smash that like and stack the flapjacks. Let's go, buddy. And then we've got Daz File saying, unless he gets his Giga kick home on Alex's liver, so fight is just going to play out at distance. I've never won a bet on any Caceres fight yet. I'm not doing good on Caceres fights. I picked Pineda to shave his ass the last fight that he was in, and I was wrong about that one. Yeah, former head coach is brother-in-law. Jesus. Wow. So the former head coach married Taila's sister, and now she's getting sued by him for embezzlement and not paying him. Wow. That's a lot of drama, man. All right, you guys. Let's move on to this next fight. Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. Let's get the stats up here. Let's get the lines up here. We've got Anthony Smith is the underdog, even though he won the first matchup between these two at plus 108. Ryan Superman Spann, the favorite at minus 128. Fight doesn't go to decision. 83.33% implied probability here at minus 500. So let's first start talking about Anthony Smith's advantages here. Smitty's got the experience advantage, obviously, right? He's got 25 more pro fights, 220 more minutes in the pro cage, and 5 more years as a pro fighter. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 9 more fights and 150 more minutes of octagon time. Anthony's already beaten Spann before, so he has that advantage, knowing that he can beat him again. He did the better work in the stand-up and in the grappling in that fight, and he won by rear naked choke. And Smitty has faced and beaten the better brand of UFC competition, according to my metric. Now, Spann is always has the measurables advantages in his fights because he's a massive 205er. He's 3 years younger than Smitty. He's 1 inch taller, and he's got a 3-inch reach advantage. And Ryan Spann has the power advantage in this spot. He lands a knockdown on 4.27% of the distance strikes that he lands, and he has 5 UFC knockdowns and 3 UFC wins by way of knockout. Ryan is not accurate or technical, but don't get hit. Whatever you do, don't get hit because this kid has hammers and his fists are the size of canned hams. And Ryan has a fantastic guillotine choke. If you get sloppy shooting in on him, he snatches that thing up quick and he finishes with it. So I kind of see this fight being 50-50. These guys don't like each other, so emotions might be higher than usual. Both of these guys are going to be a long way from home here, fighting in Singapore. Both of these guys are savage finishers, and both guys get finished a ton as well. Trying to predict who lands the first big bomb is always tricky in matchups like this. I like Smith's experience, his strength of schedule, the fact that he won the first fight, and he's got the better top game, but Spann is younger, he's taller, he's longer, and he's more powerful. Smith probably gets better as the fight goes on, while Spann has been first round or bust lately. I think the bet here is the under 1.5 rounds, but I'm actually going to pick Ryan Spann to get some revenge here, and I think that he's going to win this fight by first round knockout over Anthony Smith. But I'm picking this with almost no confidence whatsoever. I don't know where Anthony Smith is right now, dude. 35 years old is not washed up for a 205er, but I think it's a lot more about the miles on the tires and the damage that you've taken than it is about the age. And Jesus Christ, this guy's had 15 and a half years as a professional, Anthony Smith. 54 fights. Dude, this guy is fighting over 3 times a year, close to 4 times a year. So he's extremely busy. He's got 2 losses for every win, but he's got 18 professional losses. He's been knocked out 10 times. He's been submitted 4 times. And he's only 2-4 in decisions and 1-4 in decisions in the UFC. So unless Smith gets Spann out of there, I mean, I think Spann probably wins the minutes here because Spann's going to be the more likely one to get takedowns. And once you take Anthony Smith down, he never gets back up. So I think Spann probably the more likely minute and moment winner in this fight, but I think somebody's getting finished. So I can't really be confident, but I'm picking Superman Spann to get this one back. And I just think he's in a better headspace right now. Anthony Smith talking about how you're attacking my whole family and the bizarre behavior he showed after the Spann fight. It reminded me of when Renato Moicano went out there and subbed Damir Hadzovic and then started screaming at him that he wanted to fight longer. And he just, it was the COVID era. Nobody was in the place. There was no crowd. He went and he got the submission and then he yelled at Damir, telling him that he should have fought longer. And Damir was like, well, then you shouldn't have submitted me then. So it was just kind of like bizarre, but that's what Smith did, like he's saying, where's my respect? Dude, Ryan Spann is one of the most respectful, quiet 205ers in the entire division. This guy's never out there opening his mouth talking shit about his competitors, about his opponents. So for Anthony Smith to go off on him like that after the fight and act like it was his first win ever, and then to go on ESPN months later, while he's an analyst for them and proclaim that Ryan Spann is forever his bitch. I mean, he said that. And it's like, dude, you have 36 wins on your resume. Why are you talking shit about a win that you got a year ago against a quiet guy like Spann? I don't know, man. Smith seems like he's maybe lost it a little bit to me. And so I'm going to go with Ryan Superman Spann to get this win here, you guys. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Mark Schillingberg is in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? Good to see you hanging out with us, Mark. We got Crystal Octahedron saying Alex is a southpaw and he keeps his ribs closed. That kick wouldn't land as easily. Yeah, that's the best way to get at somebody with a brick head like Caceres is to finish him with a body. Smith is washed was my first thought. I don't know. I think he might be right, dude. And Spann's still young. Spann KO, says Lone Wolf DFS. Spann has zero durability. Yeah, dude, but you know what? I think Smith is durable, but he's been finished in 14 of 18 losses. So Spann, I think he's been finished on what, like 7 of 9 losses? These guys both get finished a ton. 6 finishes in 8 losses. So a 75% finish rate for Spann in his losses and a 78% finish rate in Smith's losses. Smith's been finished in half of his UFC losses, while Ryan Spann has been finished in 100% of his UFC losses. So yeah, neither one of these guys is terribly durable, but we do know that if there's anybody that's getting a come from behind victory, it's Anthony Smith. Lionheart, says Mushroom MMA. Sean saying, I don't want to pick Smith, but damn, I can't back someone with the durability of Spann. Yeah, I get it. I won't be backing him with my money either. Smith receives an average 20.53 strikes per match and lands 29.19. Spann lands 20.91 and receives 24.94. Smith's strike volume to KO ratio is also way better. Yeah. No, it's not. Ryan Spann is landing a knockdown on 4.27% of the distance strikes that he lands, while Smith 1.37. But I think what you're saying is that the knockout ratio, 55% for Smitty in his UFC wins, is better than the knockout ratio for Spann, which is 43%. Jaw broken, says Lone Wolf DFS. You won't be able to run his mouth with a broken jaw. I think Smith genuinely took the fight only if he could be an underdog, get some money for his people's respect. You never know. Spann training now? Yeah, I think he is. We'll see. Spann makes him his bitch, says Lone Wolf DFS. And those are head strikes, by the way. Oh, okay, head strikes. Got it. I understand. Yeah, I've got him out by head, body, and legs as well. But those are stats I don't look at quite as much. Okay, and now let's move on to the main event of the evening. Max Blessed Holloway going up against the Korean Zombie. We've got Holloway, a minus 800 favorite, ladies and gentlemen. Korean Zombie plus 550. Fight doesn't go to decision, juiced up to minus 165 here. So what do we do with this spot here? Let me get my notes out. Max Holloway advantages. 4.5 years younger than Korean Zombie. 4 inches taller than Korean Zombie. Max has the overall and UFC experience advantages. He's got 7 more pro fights. 260 more minutes in the octagon, despite the fact that Zombie's been a pro fighter for 3 more years than Max. So it's also Max who's been the far busier fighter. Max also has 15 more fights at the UFC level and almost 280 more minutes in the octagon. Max has legendary durability. He's absorbed 1,927 significant strikes in the UFC, and he's never been knocked out or even knocked down in his 23 UFC fights. Max called himself the best boxer in the UFC while he was shaving the ass of Calvin Kattar in the 4th round of their fight. Over a massive sample size of distance striking time, which is over 333 minutes for Max Holloway in the UFC, over 85% of his UFC octagon time. Max has a positive 2.02 distance striking differential. He's landing 7.36 distance strikes per minute, and he's got a 45.6% accuracy and almost 59% defense. He's landed 5 UFC knockdowns. 8 of his 17 UFC wins come by way of knockout, and he's never been dropped. Max is always in great shape on the feet, unless he's fighting Alexander Volkanovski. And Max has shown fantastic grappling efficiency in the UFC. Look at this. Max Holloway's attempted 15 takedowns. Max Holloway's opponents have attempted 122 against him. However, Max still wins over 40% of the control time positions he has been in, and 78% of his fights stay at distance striking range. So he's excellent at keeping fights where he's most comfortable and not allowing his opponents to get off on the grappling game against him. Now, Korean Zombie, he's got a 3-inch reach over Holloway, 3-inch reach advantage. Zombie's been the more opportunistic finisher in the UFC with a 75% finish rate compared to 59% for Max. And Zombie's shown better moment winning capability in the UFC. He's got power on the feet, and he also has a tricky submission game. But I think Zombie has the proverbial puncher's chance. But that's about it. And I really don't see any area of the game where Zombie is better than Max. And even if Zombie lands a huge shot, Max will probably eat it like it's nothing and go back to winning minutes with his volume-based boxing approach. I got to pick Max to win this fight. I'm going to pick him to finish it by 4th round knockout. I just don't see Zombie being able to win the striking exchanges in this spot. And if he can't take this guy down, and we see the Korean Zombie, he's landed 3 takedowns in 8 UFC fights. So we really don't have to worry about this guy going out there and winning minutes on the ground against Max. Maybe he lands a big shot, but even if he does, Max Holloway's as durable as it gets. So I just see Holloway winning the minutes, attritionally landing a bunch of strikes, and Zombie looking for the door around the fourth round. So the last fight of the night, the main event of UFC Singapore, we are picking the Blessed Express to win this fight by knockout in the 4th round over the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung. Let's save those picks, and let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Smith has fought the far better competition, though. He's fighting John Jones while Span is fighting Smiling Sam Alvey. Very true. My metric likes the strength of schedule of Smitty a lot better. Much love, Weezy. Just wanted to stop by and say hi. Smash the like. Look forward to watching in full tomorrow at work. Thank you for all the content and hard work. Appreciate you, man. Lone Wolf DFS saying Max is a lock. Matt W saying, I wonder what Zombie's camp is training him for. He better be secretly working that sub game. Yeah, I think it would be the best path to victory for him. Could bet Zombie, hope for an early stoppage. Yeah, I doubt it, man. It would have to be a very early stoppage because Max is stupid durable. But let's take care of the last 2 orders of business. Actually, we got 3 orders of business. First, I'm going to give you my tracked bet. Or no, first, we're going to give you this week's Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. I had to pick one underdog that you guys could bet at plus money that I thought was going to bring home the gold this weekend and cash you a plus money bet. And that guy is somebody that I'm picking to win this fight flat out. And it's Toshiomi Kazama's money line, available right now at plus 150 on Bet Online Sportsbook. Garrett's going to be halfway across the world for this fight. Garrett's on an over 1-year layoff and has been rehabbing some injuries. Garrett doesn't show great takedown defense or a great get-up game, and when he loses minutes in his fights, it tends to be on the ground, which is exactly where Toshi wins his minutes. And yes, absolutely, Garrett is going to be live to knock out Toshiomi Kazama if Toshi doesn't get to that grappling right away, if he gets sloppy pressuring, trying to get into the clinch here. But I think if that doesn't happen, Toshi's going to be able to win a ton of minutes on the ground here and maybe stay safe at distance striking range while the fight is there. So this week's Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week is going to be Toshiomi Kazama's money line at plus 150. And then my tracked bets so far for this week are the following. The 1 unit on Toshiomi Kazama's money line at plus 142 that I got on DraftKings Sportsbook before it went up to plus 150 on Bet Online Sportsbook. I've got the under 2.5 rounds at minus 105 for a 1.05 unit bet on the now Liang JJ Aldrich fight. Love violence there. And then I have the finish only prop for Waldo Cortes-Acosta at minus 210 for 2.1 units. Waldo Cortes-Acosta is ridiculously durable. The calf kicks that he was eating from De Lima would have made a lot of people quit, but he didn't even look like he walked differently during that fight. I don't think you're knocking out Waldo Cortes-Acosta. He's got the much better conditioning in this spot. He's way more durable, in my opinion, than Brzeski is. And I think that there's almost zero chance that Lukasz Brzeski is able to finish Waldo Cortes-Acosta. So I feel very safe saying that if there's a finish in this fight, it's going to be Waldo Cortes-Acosta. So I've got that bet for 2.1 units. And I will be adding more bets throughout the week after I put the timestamps on this and finish analyzing the card from a betting perspective. But look for those bets. If you're on my Patreon, they will be posted in the Discord on the Weezy's Track Bets room in the Discord. That leaves us with only one order of business left, you guys. Still 59 of you hanging out live with us, 2 hours and 10 minutes into the show. And that is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to get it done here violently? Who's going to win this fight and make their opponent look really bad? We've got Lone Wolf saying Max is the ass shaving. I can't do it this week, Lone Wolf, because he's a minus 800 favorite. Yeah, I mean, he's going to shave the Korean Zombie's ass, in my opinion. But at minus 800, you don't need me to tell you that. You also don't need me to tell you that, Nakamura probably absolutely kills Fernie Garcia if he wrestles in this fight. And even if he doesn't, he might be the first one to land a big shot here. But yeah, Rinya Nakamura at minus 800, you don't need me to tell you that either. So we got Eli saying our shaving better be Oleksiejczuk. Chidi is a quitter, and Oleksiejczuk is not a quitter. So yeah, man, I do like Oleksiejczuk to win that fight. Crystal Octahedron saying Toshiomi for the win. I'm looking for Toshiomi to get this win and cash that Uncle Weezy's Bootsy Collins Memorial pick of the week, which was Marina Moroz last week. So we're off to an 0-1 start. But last week's ass shaving of the week was Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez, and he made it look real easy. So I'm taking somebody that I'm just as confident to win this fight as I was in Gregory Rodriguez last week. Will it be as violent as of a finish as Gregory Rodriguez's finish? Probably not. But this week's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is going to be Waldo Cortes-Acosta with the plot no power to shave the ass of Lukasz Brzeski. I love the conditioning. I love the youth. I love the power advantages. I think he's the much better boxer, and that conditioning is what makes me most confident in this spot. Lukasz Brzeski does rely on a volume-heavy striking attack in order to win minutes and win decisions at this level, but I do believe that the power is very much lacking, and I could see Waldo really landing a lot of jabs, putting this guy in some bad spots late in the second and finishing it in the third. So your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, by a guy who has that parlay where he's looking for the second leg to pair with Giga Chikadze, it's going to be Waldo Cortes-Acosta this week. Thank you guys so much. This one ran a little bit over. We had a long intro today. A lot of you guys hanging out live, participating in the chat. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. And most importantly, let's stack cashed tickets like flapjacks for UFC Singapore. You can find me tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio at 8 o'clock Central Time doing the DFS show with my guy Brady, with my guy Gordo Gambles, and with my guy Monk Maddox. And then also I'll be right back here tomorrow night. We're going to do some Ask Weezy, maybe talk a little bit of prize picks, and I'll show you where I'm at with the new prize picks template. So join me tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio, 8 o'clock Central Time, right here for Ask Weezy, 10 o'clock Central Time. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night. God bless each and every one of you. And we will talk to you tomorrow when we give you even more information about UFC Singapore. And we got Matt Campbell saying, oi. We got Jared Curry saying, oi. Up late for Unc's tip. Let's get it, man. We got Matt W saying, I'm going Giga money line, leaning decision. Thinking back to Max whooping Cater, then Cater whooping Giga. He's going to have to follow tradition and make Caceres have a bad night. Crystal saying, thanks, Uncle Weezy. Appreciate you, Crystal. We got Lone Wolf DFS saying, thanks, Weezy. Daz File saying, thanks, Weezy in chat. Eli saying, cheers, appreciate it. Daz File saying, add a comment for the algo. Please do. And my guy Remdog with the thumbs up. You guys have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow right here, 10 o'clock Central Time on Uncle Weezy's channel. And you can feel free to ask me anything that you have to ask about this UFC Singapore card. Billy Nicholson, I had to step out, but the dog appreciated the Weezy vocals, keeping her company. Big respect. Give your dog a scratch behind the ear for your Uncle Weezy, man. And you guys have a great night. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to put timestamps on this thing, and it'll be ready to go for y'all. Take care, and let's stack them high for UFC Singapore. Good night.